Hey y'all, what's going on? Today we're back for another video. Today we're going to be talking about Season 5 of Lost, as well as answering some of your questions that you had for me. I cannot wait to dive into this. It's been a long time coming. I think we started Season 5 back at the December or January roughly. So I cannot wait to get this out for you and to talk about the season. I am really excited because Season 5 is a very unique season. I think more than any of the other seasons that it dives more into the sci-fi themes. I think it really does really lean heavily into that. While, season 3 and 4 starts to introduce it more and more, even 2 to a degree. It really just slowly added to it season by season. And then season 5, it's like, hey, we've been telling you that there are sci-fi elements in this show. We've been telling you that this show is also, as much as it's a character study, as much as it's a show about survival, this show is a sci-fi show, and we are going to dive deep into it, and they dove deep into it. And overall, I really enjoyed this season. I looked back at it, looked at some of the episodes that were in, and there were significantly more episodes that I loved and had fond memories of than didn't. Some Like It Hoth, which is so funny to me that Some Like It Hoth is probably one of the slowest episodes of the season for me. And hilarious enough, it's the one that has like Star Wars references and such. So very interesting that that one didn't hit as well as some of the other ones did. We have so many storylines that are going on in this, where we have the fact that they go back in time to the 70s. We have the fact that they're still present day in time. And then there's even other storyline where they were getting to that point to get to travel to the 70s and such, on top of everything else that they threw at us. We finally got to meet Jacob. Jacob is real. Jacob exists. Jacob is from what we could tell, can die. Jacob can bleed. And we got introduced to whoever that other guy is. Overall, I really did enjoy the season a lot. There's a lot of great things to like. There's all the scenes with Charlotte. There's the scenes, everything that's going on with, why am I blanking on his mind, on his Friday, Daniel. All that stuff is incredible. The twist, I think that's one of the best time travel twists, is when we find out that Eloise kills her son. And because of everything that she believes in and everything that has happened and that she knows will happen and has to happen, she has to send Daniel there to his death, essentially, full knowing that. And she starts to tell that to Widmore whenever the whole conversation, we find out that Daniel's father, which is also just a mind screw. And ultimately it comes down to the fact of we end the season essentially with trying to send them back or to restart everything, and we lose Juliet as that, from what we could tell. Maybe things reset and she's fine. It's really hard. Yeah, it's a shame, and I hope we don't lose her, and I was very upset about that. But she was able to detonate the bomb, and for the first time the ending screen is inversed. It's now white with black lettering. So very, very, very interesting there. I'm not sure what to make of it, but overall, I really did enjoy this season a lot. Let's get to your questions. And again, if you guys have more questions by my what I've talked about, or by further questions from the follow-up of these questions, go ahead and just drop them in the comments, and I'll answer them in a text form for you guys. Love talking to Lost with y'all. All right, let's go ahead and start with Wendy Anomalies, aka Wendy 5096. I got it. What surprised you the most, emotionally, storyline wise, or connecting the dots wise? And what are your expectations going into the final season of Lost? Looking forward to it. Okay, so what surprised you the most? I think what surprised me the most was twofold, of them going back and being in like the 70s, because that's just like, what is going on? Like, we got legit time travel going on. And I think the way that Lost implements it and their rules, I think, was also very satisfying, where their rules were pretty simple when you sat down and thought about it, because essentially for that individual, it's very Doctor Who like, because of the, if you're familiar with River Song, it's very similar to that, where a character's point of time is that's their point of time, and if that's their future, well, they could still go in the past, and that character did not realize that, because that moment is happening then and now. It's kind of wild and crazy, but I think the best example is the fact of seeing what happens with Daniel and his mom, where Daniel is quote unquote from the future. He has lived his childhood already with his mom and everything. He goes back in time to the 70s, and his mom kills him. His mom is significantly younger at that point, and she discovers that she kills her son. And so now she's going to live the rest of her life knowing that, even though Daniel's not going to know that until obviously it happens. So I think what surprised me the most was the fact that there was time travel, and then the fact that they executed it so correctly. I think the other thing, then, on just to add something else besides that, because I think that might be a common answer for a lot of people, I also would say the presumed death of John Locke. As far as we could tell, John Locke is dead. Like, Ben killed him. And what we can see with the body being rolled out, dead. He dead. So, with such a pivotal character like that, it's in a way, it's kind of a shame, because like the character of John Locke is gone and dead. I doubt we're gonna see that going into season 6, but I am just kind of shocked, because it's such a pivotal main character. He's the one that was really to question a lot of Jack's ideology and thought process, and Locke's a very intriguing character, and to lose that voice is very interesting. All right, we got Kevin Joy 7728. How would you rank the 5 seasons you've seen so far? Oh my gosh, this is impossible. I've been literally thinking about this for the hottest moment. For the hottest moment. Okay, I have problems, because I think season 3 is ranked so I will preface this. I like all the seasons. I like Lost. I love Lost. I think there are stronger seasons, and I'm having a hard time, because I find reasons that I really love seasons, and then the reasons not to like the seasons as well. So, I think season 5, or not season 5. Let's start with, okay. So in 5th place, let's give that. I hate to give it to season 3, but season 3, I think, goes on the longest. I think it has some of the more dud episodes, while there are some really great episodes and great moments, and I think on rewatches it's only going to get better. I think season 3 has to be at the end, despite the brilliant introduction of Juliet, and then the ending of we have to go back, and we find out that it's the future, and they're off the island. So I think that's the thing for season 3 for me, is that it has an incredible start, it has an incredible finish, but that path to get there can be kind of rough. And I think that first start of that season, with the exception of like Juliet, it is a lot to watch. So I think number 5 has to be season 3. I think then I'm gonna go with season 4. Season 4 is very good. Oh, no. I'm gonna save season 4. I like season 4 because I like the pace of season 4, and I like how very tight it was. Like, it's a very tight season. I think, isn't season 4 the one with the writer's strike and everything, and it was a shorter season? Yeah, I like the pace of season 4. Season 4 is incredible. Okay, so what we'll do is so 5 we have, number 5th place is season 3. I think in 4th place, I think we'll go to season 2. I feel good about that. Season 2 is another season that I think it's a jump ahead of season 3. There's a lot of good stories. We still are getting the survival elements of the story, but we are slowly trickling more of the Dharma Initiative. We're slowly getting introduced to more of these concepts. The others, there's a lot of other mysteries are being introduced, and a lot of crazy moments happen in season 2. It could be kind of long, but I think it is also a really good season. I think we'll put season 4 fits good at 3rd place. Season 4 is just so tight, and the story and everything that involves that, and just seeing kind of what happens after and the ending. And season 4 is kind of when you start to kind of see where the show's going and where the end path is gonna be. It starts to put the pieces on the board for that. So then it comes down to season 5 and 1. I think I'm going to go ahead and put season 5 at number 2. I'm going to give it some time to simmer. But I think season 5, while it could be very outlandish in ways, and it takes big swings, those big swings for me, and this is my personal opinion, my personal ranking, it worked for me. And I can see, though, that if some of this stuff does not work for you, season 5 is going to be the last or towards the end for you. Season 5 works for me. The deaths are impactful. The twists are impactful. Going back in time was impactful. Seeing everything that happened that brought them to that place. All that is so good. Ben has some incredible scenes. There's just some incredible moments, and memorable and shocking and mic drop and just everything involved. Season 5 is very special and very good in my opinion. But I think that takes us to season 1. And generally speaking, I'm not always one to just give the first season of a show like the best ranking, the best position. But I think there was something to be said about first discovering these characters for the first time. There was something about the survival element. The mystery of the island was still so very fresh. There were all these things that were just so new and so curious. But at the core of it, it was always about the characters. And I think looking back now, having seen these seasons ahead of it, I think Lost Season 1 does more than I've seen most shows do to set up the end game in the first season years in advance. Like, there are so many little things in season 1 that you can then look back into the rest of the show and you're like, oh wow, I was there. And while maybe they were, keeping things fresh and going along the way, they set things up so they had opportunities that maybe even in the moment, if they didn't know what they were going to do with it, they at least gave themselves options. That's what I like, is that whenever a show or a story, you don't have to know why you're putting that. Well, I don't want to say that. You don't have to necessarily have like the end goal or end reason for what you're putting that there for. But if you know you're going to put that there for and figure out why it's important and what it's going to be there for. Plus, sometimes it could be just a red herring and throw the viewers off, which there were sometimes some of those moments too. But I think season 1 just does such a good job. And I think if season 1 cannot hook you with the characters, because then I think season 1 is what gives them the freedom to go crazy and to introduce the Dharma Initiative, to introduce the time travel, to introduce everything that happens with Desmond, everything that happens with Faraday, all of that crazy storylines. If you are not hooked in season 1 with these characters and you're invested into these characters, you're invested in loving these characters, you're invested in hating these characters, you're not going to watch the show and you're not going to go for the ride. Because then at that point in season 5, when we're literally time traveling, like, you're in for it now. You're invested in these characters. You want to know what happens to these characters. And I think that is something maybe more shows should consider. And maybe, and it's not for every show, but don't necessarily completely shock your audience in the first season. Let them get settled. Let them get introduced to these characters. and slowly trickle in that there is some mystery and unknown. And then as the seasons progress, you can continue to just give your audience more and more. Trust your audience. So that's my rankings. I think if we were to do it, we would go season 3, then season 2. I said 2, right? I did, right? Right? Yeah, season 3. So is it 3, then 2, then 4, then 5, then 1. So again, that's season 3, season 2, season 4, and season 5, and season 1. Very hard question. I appreciate that one. That one made me think so much. All right. I have a Franzo2701. Fonzo, excuse me. What's your reaction to possibly Juliet being pregnant on the time of the incident? Nice catch, by the way. Still a huge theory, though, in which I believe. And what are your thoughts on Juliet coming to the island to solve a problem? Woman can't deliver their babies and ended up dying along with their baby that she may have caused by blowing up the hydrogen bomb. Yes, because before that woman could deliver, for example, Ethan was born, which could mean that Juliet came to the island to solve a problem that ultimately she was responsible for 30 years before. Hope I just made you think or tied your thoughts both, or maybe you just lost my train of thought. How great is Lost writing? Yes, it took me a few rewatches to understand the show completely. Yeah, so I think that's very interesting, and I hadn't connected the dots about the fact that she does come to the island to save the pregnancy, or to help with the pregnancy problem, and then literally she might even be the one that caused it, and yet also she's also potentially pregnant, and therefore caused that problem of herself as well. So there's a lot to digest with that. I think the pregnancy scene it's with Bernard and Rose. I feel like there is a point in this show, and maybe I'm making this up, or maybe I'm thinking of another show, but maybe I'm pretty sure that there is someone in the show gives someone else tea for their pregnancy or something. I don't know if it was like Claire maybe, or maybe it was Sun, but someone gets tea, I believe. And that's what made me think of. Plus, also when you're watching it, she puts her hand on her stomach, and you're just like... And I think Bernard and Rose kind of just know, like, they've lived lives. They're very intuitive and just, yeah. But I think it is very interesting, and that you can literally do a whole video essay and a whole study on Juliet and her story, because, like, if it does come to an end here, like, that is full circle. And kind of crazy. Very, very interesting. Thank you so much for the question as well. And finally, ending out with Great Rune 11. What's your opinion on the show's soundtrack by Michael Giacchino? Do you have a favorite track? Oh, okay. So I love music. I love score and soundtrack music. Love it. You know, obviously big fan of John Williams. Michael Giacchino is actually also one of my favorites because he did the soundtrack for Rogue One, which is a Star Wars spin-off movie. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. I recommend it. And plan for a double feature, and you'll know what I mean. If you haven't seen it, plan for a double feature, and you'll know what I mean by the end of it. So just keep that in mind. I love his music in this show. I think that is one of the absolutely strongest points of this show, that it never misses. The music never misses. I think my favorite is it's Life and Death, I believe. Yeah, Life and Death. That music. My hair is raising just thinking about that song. So when I need to hear something Lost related really quickly, I usually put that on. I do have a playlist for all of the seasons, and I will listen to that. I will say though, my favorite song that isn't like soundtrack song is Downtown. And like, I'll play the Juliet's opening scene every once in a while too. And then finally, the final question is, if you were on the island, but in real life, which of the show's characters, main and supporting, would you seem closest to have behave yourself in their situation? So if you were on the island, but in real life, which of the show's characters, main and supporting, would seem closest to how you behave? Okay, so who in the show represents how I would act on there? That's a good question. I'm very much a mix of like Kate and Locke, because I'm very much of the go get it done mentality of Kate, but not so much on the romantic side of things. But then on Locke, I definitely have that sense of belief and faith in things that can't be understood and explained. And so I think while Locke had that really strong sense of faith and belief in the beginning of the season, I mean, who's to blame him? He freaking can walk now, and he wasn't able to. I mean, I think that's, um, but I think I like Kate's like determination and resilience. I know she rubs people the wrong way for many different reasons, but I do think that with Kate's resilience and strength mixed with the faith of Locke, that's kind of like how I would be acting. More proactive and not so much just waiting for things to happen. Definitely not like a Shannon. Definitely not. But those are all great questions. And again, I thank you guys so much for the support. I'm going to go ahead and try to see if I could get some of my friends. I have 2 close friends that love the show. You've already met one, Nicole. I have another friend, Steven. He enjoys the show as well. We do the Marblecast podcast together. So with all that being said, though, thank you guys. I cannot wait to get into season 6 with you all. It's going to be quite a journey. And with all that said, guys, have a good rest of your day.